I'm leaner, more muscular, and I have more energy throughout the day compared than during my professional athletic career. And today I also train around 80% less than back then. So in today's video, I want to speak about why that happened, what you can learn from this, how you can benefit from these learnings, and why most men have this completely backwards. For the last around 15 years, I lived and trained like a professional athlete. National team cycling, hybrid racing, high volume training, high intensity, 20 plus hours of training per week. I was superhuman fit on any external measure, but I was permanently exhausted. My body was inflamed and I wasn't as lean and as muscular as today. So last year, February, I stopped competing and I reduced my training volume from 20 plus hours down to 3 to 4, maybe 5 hours per week. And something happened that completely changed how I think about training and health today. There's a mindset which is around till the 90s and it's just refusing to die. Go hard or go home. And I'm not saying don't train hard. I want you to train brutally hard, but there's a massive difference between stupid hard and smart hard training. Back when I was competing, more was always the answer. More volume, more sessions, more hours, more intensity. That was the culture back then. But here's something nobody talks about. Your body has one stress bucket or like one bottle of water of stress, like training stress, work stress, family stress. It all goes into the same bucket or bottle. And when that bucket overflows, your body is not improving, it's just surviving. And honestly, I was surviving for many years while thinking I was thriving. And the shift for me happened over the course of the last year, where I started training calisthenics and I basically realized how exhausted I was over the last years in my day-to-day life. Not just tired after the training sessions, basically just exhausted all the time. And just a few weeks after I reduced my training volume, I started looking better. I started training, let's say 3 sessions per average per week. And I think looking better wasn't the end goal for me and it just happened, but I also felt so much better. Started to gain back my energy in my day-to-day life. Now I'm sure not everyone here is training 20 hours per week and we can't compare that. But the main point is that if you're training and how hard you train and how you act isn't fitting your lifestyle and your day-to-day life, it's ending up, or you are ending up to having the same problems. So let me be specific, because just talking about randomly doesn't get you anywhere. My training week right now and in the last 12 months probably consisted of 3 to 4 sessions that are around 45 to maybe 60 minutes long. I trained and train usually always full body sessions, focused on calisthenics like you see in all my videos. Focusing on push-ups, pull-ups, dips, squats in a weight vest, kettlebell swings, things like that. No gym, no commutes, no 2-hour long sessions. Basically in and out of the session in around or a maximum of 60 minutes. The question is now, why did I started to look and feel better? And that's because the training load finally started to match my day-to-day life. And when recovery matches your training and your lifestyle, your body will finally start to build something and turning off survival mode. And it's not just counting for me and you. I see it all the time. There are many men out there with a job, a family, and a pretty packed life. And they go to the gym 5, 6, 7 times a week for an hour or two, have to drive there, get into the locker room, things like that, because they think that's the only answer. That guy is always tired. His progress is slow and he's wondering what he's doing wrong. But the thing is, there's nothing wrong with his training. Probably every training program out there will get you results if you train hard enough. But I think most guys don't think about the relationship between their training and their output and their life. Training that's competing with your life is lowering the quality of your life. Training that fits into your life is raising the quality. And I've seen too many people burn out from all these kind of things, and that's why I'm speaking so much about it in my videos. Because I think, there's no compromise. We need smart systems where you need something that fits your life. For me personally, and I'm usually working around 10 hours a day, usually 6 days a week at least. The answer was less volume, less sessions, doing them at home, so that I make my training as accessible as possible. And the guys on social media you see all the time that are doing 2 sessions per week and they look like superhumans. I know a lot of them. They don't feel as good as they look like. And a lot of times that's not real fitness and health, that's performance for the camera. I didn't lower my standards when I went from 20 hours a week to 3 to 5. I removed the stupid heart, but I kept the smart heart in there. And the first time in around 15, 20 years, my training is supporting my life and is not fighting against it. I don't want to miss that time. I traveled the world because of it, but for a real man's or adult's life, it's usually not working. And if you're a man in your 30s, 40s, if you have a job, if you have a family, if you have a hectic life, you need training that fits your life. You need training for where you actually are. And that is what Build Simple is there for. I want to create clarity and cut the noise in that whole fitness space. And I want to simplify fitness for men out there that feel overwhelmed with all this. So if you want to learn more about my work and all this, check the links in the description. You find free resources there that are helping you to write your own training program. And you find the training program on the website if you're looking for something like this. I hope this video was helpful, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.